Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Here's the headline. The VA to remain very discerning on healthcare hiring calls on Congress to address the $12 billion shortfall in December. So, I mean, here we are again, right? This is just the continuation of the overall $15 billion, of which $3 billion got squared away. So we're left with the 12 that's actually focused on the VHA, which is the Veterans Health Administration. So with that, let's jump into this. The call to action is really reach out to your congressional members and let them know that the VA needs to be funded. Yes, they need obviously some left and right limits on that, and they need a better way to forecast and be able to go through their budget process because they really fumbled the ball on that, and we get it. But we also can't let veterans suffer due to the inability of the VA to budget appropriately. I'm just saying. All right, so with that, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. 2 asks, hit the thumbs up, let the video run. That pushes this information out to others, and if others happen to look that are maybe staffers or congressional members, they'll see that we're actually paying attention. All right, so with that, if you want to support the channel in other ways, you consider being a member. You can go to the homepage. You'll see highlighted members and a join button. Thank you so much to all you members. All right, so VA to remain very discerning on healthcare hiring calls on Congress to address $12 billion shortfall in December. All right, so the VA expects to grow its healthcare workforce by approximately 404,000 total employees next year if Congress approves supplemental funding. Now, the ironic thing here, in my opinion, is not very long ago, several months, this year, for sure, 2024, the VA had talked about eliminating 10,000 jobs through attrition, primarily within VHA. But my concern was, well, if we have this overwhelming tidal wave of claims coming in, and then we also open up the door to health care to an additional 1 million veterans and lower the threshold to obtain care from the VA, which are all the right, those are all the right things. Why would we be cutting healthcare workforce by 10,000 if we see this tsunami coming at us? Well, anyway, so that was my concern. And then the VA made a 180 and is now calling for additional hiring within the VHA. Go figure. All right, it's kind of like their budget process. Let's move on. The Department of Veterans Affairs is calling on Congress to address the $12 billion shortfall by the end of the year to ensure it can keep providing health care to a record number of veterans. Lawmakers passed a continuing resolution Wednesday that extends current spending levels through December 20th. The continuing resolution, or CR for continuing resolution, the CR gives Congress more time to work out an in-depth spending plan for 2025. If not, lawmakers will have to pass another stopgap funding bill by the deadline to avoid a government shutdown. VA Secretary Dennis McDonough said he's hoping Congress will address the VA's request for $12 billion in supplemental funding in a comprehensive spending deal for fiscal 2025. We're hopeful to see an anomaly here. In the meantime, we'll continue to provide world-class care, and we will continue to be very discerning about hiring decisions, McDonough told reporters at a press conference Thursday. Lawmakers approved a $3 billion supplemental funding bill last week that would allow the VA to keep making disability compensation and pension payments on time to 7 million veterans and their survivors. Congressional Republicans, however, expressed frustration that VA officials warned about its budget shortfall in July, months after submitting a fiscal 2025 budget request and appearing before committees to defend it. So in other words, the VA, submitted their budget request, did the committee hearings, said this is our budget request, this is where we're at, we're good to go, and we believe in it. And then a few months later, they say, oh, guess what, we're short $15 billion. Anyway, House VA Committee Chairman Mike Bost, who, by the way, I put a call out to, I'm trying to speak with him. We'll see how that turns out. So House VA Committee Chairman Mike Bost told the VA in July that increased hiring at the Veterans Health Administration, above all, contributed to the $12 billion budget shortfall. McDonough said the VA took those concerns to heart about staffing, but determined VHA will need to keep hiring to provide more care to more veterans. No kidding, right? Because they keep coming? Because there's more? Yeah, I mean, that wasn't a hard one. So, the VA is providing record levels of health care and benefits to veterans under the Pact Act, which expands eligibility for veterans exposed to toxic substances during their military service. VHA, the Veterans Health Care Administration, is on track to provide 130 million appointments to veterans by the end of fiscal year 2024, beating last year's record of 120 million appointments. We've determined that to continue to provide the kinds of care that we want to provide, we should have a different end strength number, McDonough said. So we're hopeful that Congress will help us get to that outcome when they take up the full year funding for VA and other agencies at the end of December. So moving on, there's a kind of another kind of sub-headline inside here. It says, tougher budget years lie ahead. By the way, remember that the current secretary, Dennis McDonough, is not going to be there the next administration. He's already announced he is leaving, so no matter what, he will be gone, regardless of who is in the White House. So whoever is in the White House, we need to make sure that we have a very strong and competent leadership team at the VA, VHA, VBA, and I don't really know, I haven't heard much on the National Cemetery side negatively, so I think that we're good to go. So moving on. Tough budget years lie ahead. McDonough said that at this point, the VA expects to grow its healthcare workforce to approximately 404,000 total employees if Congress approves the supplemental funding. Now, those numbers aren't going to be consistently updated. Now those numbers are going to be consistently updated. And especially with the end of the fiscal year, we'll have some accounting to do over the course of the next several weeks. So we'll take a hard look at that. The VA's latest hiring forecast is a different picture than its fiscal year 2025 budget request, which projected 383,000 employees for VHA's workforce, a reduction of about 10,000 positions. It just blows me away because I don't even work there, and I saw the writing on, all of you saw the writing on, everybody saw the writing on the wall. If you have more people filing claims and you open up the eligibility requirements to 1 million more veterans to receive health care, do you think your health care demand is going to go up, stay the same, or reduce? Probably going to go up. So why in the world would you reduce 10,000 positions? It blew me away then, it blows me away now, and I'm almost flabbergasted. I just wanted to say that word mostly. So let's jump back into it. It's just ridiculous. All right, so I'm going to read that last little part again just because it's ridiculous. The VA's latest hiring forecast is a different picture than its fiscal year 2025 budget request, which was projected 383,000 employees for VHA's workforce. Now, remember that their new goal is 404,000. Well, that's what, 19,000 difference? Or no, 21,000 difference. 21,000 employees difference between those two, between several months ago and today. Now let's see what they say. We said, look, we think it works, but if we need more, we'll come back to you. That's McDonough, the VA secretary, said, summarizing VA's conversations with Congress. So what he's saying here is, back when we did our budget for 2025, when all of the budget work is put into Congress going, hey, this is what we're looking for next year, We really button this up, and we are feeling good with this budget request. But then they come back and they say, well, we said, look, we think it works, but if we need more, we'll come back to you. What kind of hokey way of budgeting? I mean, that's your answer? And from leadership, from the top leader, saying, we said, look, we think it works, but if we need more, we'll come back to you. Whatever. All right, moving on. I said, I'm just irritated with that whole, there's been too many problems, and I'm kind of fed up, I think. All right. I said the one thing, and this is a quotation, I said the one thing we will not do is we will not stop the outreach to the veterans, because this is their care and that they've earned, and we have to make it available. So if we need more providers to make it available, we'll let you know. And we'll ask for more money. Well, we did that. You did it a little bit late. You should have been able to forecast, understand, get some sort of a pulse on the pull-through rate, right? But it's not that. It's all last minute. It's all, oh, well, looks like there's no more money in that tin can. We need more. It's just... heads should be rolling, and it doesn't seem like they are, so here we are. VHA, the Veterans Health Administration, initially planned... Oh, this is fun. Okay. So, let me dive back into it here. All right. VHA initially planned on net zero growth for its workforce this year, after the agency hired more than 61,000 employees in 2023, its fastest rate of growth in 15 years. However, VHA, the Veterans Health Administration, still grew its workforce by more than 2% this year. Rather than keeping hiring in significant numbers, VHA, the Health Administration, focused this year on increasing the productivity of its current healthcare workforce. And if you remember, I did some videos on that. Mandatory overtime, working kind of odd shifting hours to be available at different times, all of that stuff. But what happens with it's great for a minute, right? Overtime's great when you get your paycheck, but it's not sustainable, and you get burnout. And when you get burnout, you get people that leave, look for other jobs. Then that creates more overtime for others, which then get burned down faster, and then they leave, and then it's just this toilet bowl of organization that you're running. So not the smartest way. Let's move on. Because of what we anticipate will be increased demand from veterans, and in light of the budget agreement from last year with the introduction of the caps, there's going to be tougher budget years. So we have to be doubly careful about that. Doubly careful about that, says the Secretary of the VA. Through its access sprints, the agency increased the number of veterans that each VA provider sees for appointments, and offered night and weekend clinics, which is what I was talking about earlier. McDonough said the VA is seeing strong performance, decreased wait times, and increased access to primary care, mental health, and specialty care. We're looking at productivity because of the intensity of the situation we find ourselves in, and it's not meant to be a characterization of them or their performance, McDonough said about VA clinicians. I have every confidence that our providers are going to step up on this as well, he said. Under the Pact Act, more than the canned response as always, under the Pact Act, more than 4.7 million veterans have applied for benefits, and more than 747,000 veterans have enrolled in VHA healthcare. The President and the Secretary of the VA gave us a mandate on day one. Reach out to every single veteran and every survivor who is newly eligible for care and benefits, and make sure they get what they earned, Assistant Secretary for Public and Intergovernmental Affairs Adam Farina told reporters. Since then, we've embarked on the largest outreach campaign in the VA's history. For VHA, new EHR performance is the name of the game. We'll dive into that a little bit and then just wrap it up there. So, In one of its latest reports, the VA's Inspector General Office found that between October 2020 and March 2024, its electronic health record, EHR, experienced 826 major performance incidents, including outages, performance degradations, and incomplete functionality, which is always fun. The new EHR is operating at 5 VA locations as well as the healthcare facility in Chicago. It jointly operates with the Defense Department. So McDonough said in his response to the IG report that there are steps in place to make sure that the veteran and their access to care does not suffer as a result of the deployment of the new system. We do know that it's been the case in VA, as it has been the case for other healthcare systems, that the initial deployments of new EHRs lead to productivity loss. We are trying to make that up with staffing enhancements that then have an impact on budgeting, VISN by VISN. So that's the VISN is basically your big healthcare facility, and then all the little clinics that are around it, each, and then you got a few of those in one kind of area. I can't remember how many they are. I think there's 18 VISNs throughout the U.S. on the healthcare side. All right, just pulled it up real quick. VISN, Veterans Integrated Service Network, VISN. The U.S. is divided into 18 Veteran Integrated Service Networks, or VISNs, regional systems of care working together to better meet local healthcare needs and provides greater access to care. So that's the VISNs. There's 18 of them throughout the U.S., just kind of split up. So jumping back into this, a VA renewed its multi-billion-dollar EHR contract with Oracle in May 2023, with new terms meant to hold the vendor accountable for persistent outages. In the course of the last couple of years, we have highlighted system reliability as a key measurement, and we've ensured that there are ways for us to extract penalties from the contractor when the performance is not what veterans are right to expect it to be. I'm not sure exactly what that was supposed to mean. I get it. So basically that in the contract, if there's failures, there's a way for them to recoup monetarily from Oracle, because of these, from kind of extensive failures, I guess. This is a very valuable measure. It's a measure that we take very seriously, and a measure that we've now built into the contract so that everybody understands that performance is the name of the game, because the whole purpose of doing this is to improve veteran outcomes. All right, with that, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one, and remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.